Putin is still allowed to have accounts on all these big platforms, despite, well, invading Ukraine and reportedly planning to assassinate President Zelensky. Donald Trump isn't even really allowed to talk to anybody who has accounts on any of these platforms. Previously, he did an interview with his own daughter-in-law, Laura Trump, for her Facebook show, and they censored that. And just yesterday, a podcast that he'd appeared on called Full Send was also removed for, quote, misinformation. As you know, only Democrats are allowed to make certain claims or raise certain questions about the outcomes of elections. Another fun fact, Facebook also just updated their terms of service and now allow people to praise the Azov Battalion, which is the purported white nationalist, neo-Nazi Ukrainian army battalion that has been fighting the Russians in eastern Ukraine for almost a decade and up until just now has been on Facebook's dangerous individuals and organizations terrorist list, which nobody was allowed to literally praise, represent, or support. So now people are allowed to cheer on the Ukrainian neo-Nazis because they're fighting the Russians, although the Azov Battalion themselves are still banned from Facebook because they're a purported neo-Nazi organization. And before anybody says that I'm spreading Russian propaganda or repeating Vladimir Putin talking points about the Nazis in Ukraine, it's not me saying this. This is what Facebook had classified them as. Not to mention, for years, the mainstream media in America had been calling Azov Battalion a Nazi battalion up until the invasion, of course. And now you're not supposed to mention that, otherwise you're a Russian propagandist. Of course, the United States government for years has been quietly funding Azov, just like, well, I mean, remember when we funded Al Qaeda to fight the Russians over in Afghanistan? The government likes funding extremist groups to do their dirty work for them. In other censorship news, YouTube also banned Oliver Stone's documentary, Ukraine on Fire, which covers the history of the Ukraine-Russia conflict, which actually came out in 2016, but obviously started going viral again with the recent invasion. YouTube said that it violated their policy against showing graphic imagery, because only CNN is allowed to show images of war and dead bodies. Also, the CEO of DuckDuckGo, the privacy-focused search engine, sort of a Google alternative, said that they're now censoring, suppressing, downranking the search results for what he calls supposed Russian disinformation. Of course, as we've learned with a lot of things about the coronavirus pandemic, yesterday's disinformation is tomorrow's facts, which is why it's always a bad idea to allow the big tech companies to decide what is and isn't true and what should or shouldn't be showing up in the search results or be allowed to be posted on social media. I'm not saying that there's not a ton of disinformation and misinformation being spread about the Russia-Ukrainian conflict. It's impossible to keep up with. Let's not forget that Congressman Adam Kinzinger commented on a meme thinking that it was a Ukrainian pilot. The reason so many Americans are suspicious of the real root cause of this conflict is because nobody can trust anything the mainstream media says anymore. These are the same people who said that Black Lives Matter was a peaceful civil rights movement as they terrorized dozens of American cities, burning hundreds of businesses, costing over $1 billion worth of damage, and leaving a pile of corpses in their wake. Those familiar with Operation Mockingbird know why.
All right, folks, just wanted to show you that. Just wanted to show you that video. Just wanted to show you that video. What's going on? What's going on, Axis? What's going on, Mr. Magoo? Shadows Fire. Hope everybody's doing good. Hope everybody's doing good. If you're watching, make sure you're watching from my main channel, Crippy Rob, the Political Pothead. I am streaming from Fox News Cannabis, 420 Politics, and more on 420 Politics. If you're watching on a different channel, if you're watching this stream on 420 Politics and more, come to Crippy Rob, the Political Pothead. That's where the chat is. That's where the activity is. I wanted to wait till a few people came in. Make sure you're subscribed to my main channel. I did drop the main channel link in the chat for 420 Politics. So if you're watching right now on 420 Politics and more, come to the room. Come to Crippy Rob, the Political Pothead. Come to Crippy Rob, the Political Pothead. We got it on and popping in here. All a puppet show, Wag the Dog. No, I know, bro. I know it's Wag the Dog. It's always the same fucking bullshit. I'll replay this for you guys just in case you missed it. For those of you that are coming in.
CNN complain about Russia shutting down Facebook and Twitter in their country so that their citizens can't access and share information about the invasion of Ukraine when, of course, CNN has been on the forefront of getting Americans shut down so that they can't share information about what's going on in our country. Speaking of Facebook, they just quietly updated their terms of service and now allow users to threaten violence against Russians and to call for the death of Vladimir Putin because of the invasion of Ukraine. And up until this point, the only other world leader that they allowed people to openly call for the assassination of was, of course, Donald Trump. And while Donald Trump was banned from Facebook, Twitter, and every other big tech platform because some of his supporters misbehaved themselves at the Capitol on January 6th, Vladimir Putin is still allowed to have accounts on all these big platforms, despite, well, invading Ukraine and reportedly planning to assassinate President Zelensky. Donald Trump isn't even really allowed to talk to anybody who has accounts on any of these platforms. Previously, he did an interview with his own daughter-in-law, Laura Trump, for her Facebook show, and they censored that. And just yesterday, a podcast that he'd appeared on called Full Send was also removed for, quote, misinformation. As you know, only Democrats are allowed to make certain claims or raise certain questions about the outcomes of elections. Another fun fact, Facebook also just updated their terms of service and now allow people to praise the Azov Battalion, which is the purported white nationalist, neo-Nazi Ukrainian army battalion that has been fighting the Russians in eastern Ukraine for almost a decade, and up until just now has been on Facebook's dangerous individuals and organizations terrorist list, which nobody was allowed to literally praise, represent, or support. So now people are allowed to cheer on the Ukrainian neo-Nazis because they're fighting the Russians, although the Azov Battalion themselves are still banned from Facebook because they're a purported neo-Nazi organization. And before anybody says that I'm spreading Russian propaganda or repeating Vladimir Putin talking points about the Nazis in Ukraine, it's not me saying this. This is what Facebook had classified them as. Not to mention, for years, the mainstream media in America had been calling Azov Battalion a Nazi battalion up until the invasion, of course, and now you're not supposed to mention that, otherwise you're a Russian propagandist. Of course, the United States government for years has been quietly funding Azov, just like, well, I mean, remember when we funded Al-Qaeda to fight the Russians over in Afghanistan? The government likes funding extremist groups to do their dirty work for them. In other censorship news, YouTube also banned Oliver Stone's documentary, Ukraine on Fire, which covers the history of the Ukraine-Russia conflict, which actually came out in 2016, but obviously started going viral again with the recent invasion. YouTube said that it violated their policy against showing graphic imagery, because only CNN is allowed to show images of war and dead bodies. Also, the CEO of DuckDuckGo, the privacy-focused search engine, sort of a Google alternative, said that they're now censoring, suppressing, downranking the search results for what he calls supposed Russian disinformation. Of course, as we've learned with a lot of things about the coronavirus pandemic, yesterday's disinformation is tomorrow's facts, which is why it's always a bad idea to allow the big tech companies to decide what is and isn't true and what should or shouldn't be showing up in the search results or be allowed to be posted on social media. I'm not saying that there's not a ton of disinformation and misinformation being spread about the Russia-Ukrainian conflict. It's impossible to keep up with. Let's not forget that Congressman Adam Kinzinger commented on a meme thinking that it was a Ukrainian pilot. The reason so many Americans are suspicious of the real root cause of this conflict is because nobody can trust anything the mainstream media says anymore. These are the same people who said that Black Lives Matter was a peaceful civil rights movement as they terrorized dozens of American cities, burning hundreds of businesses, costing over $1 billion worth of damage, and leaving a pile of corpses in their wake. Those familiar with Operation Mockingbird know why, but sadly the corporate conservatives and brand name Republicans never mention it. Despite years of railing against the fake news and the deep state, have you ever heard any of them talk about Operation Mockingbird ever? So to help spread the word, order my new Operation Mockingbird shirt from my online store at markdice.com or click the link in the description below. Of course, it's a Mark Dice original. And my inspiration for this was a brief scene in an old World War II propaganda film called Why We Fight. You may have seen this. I've used it as B-roll before, of the antenna that was shooting lies out. And then it hit me. So I updated it a little bit for our modern era. And like all of my designs, it's available in a t-shirt, long sleeve, and a hoodie. And
all right, folks. All right. So you already know what's going on. You already know what's going on. It's going to be, I don't know. What do you predict he's going to talk about now? Do you think he's going to, folks, here's the thing, right? They are talking more about the possibility of a no-fly zone. They keep on requesting a no-fly zone. All of the media is pushing no-fly zones. They're pushing World War III, ladies and gentlemen. Is Joe Biden about to announce a no-fly zone? Or what the fuck is he going to do? Shit is hitting the fan, and I feel like we're definitely in an info war right now. And I think to halt or end that information war, I think that they are going to take dramatic action. It's a slow time on the weekend for news. I think Joe Biden is going to come out, and I think that he may. I don't know why I have a feeling he might take it to the next level. I don't think he's just going to come out to talk about sanctions again. I don't think he's going to come out to talk about sanctions again and another this and another that. I think it's Friday. I think he's There's a lot of shit being pushed, ladies and gentlemen, and I wouldn't be surprised if he escalates this today. What do you guys think? I hope the fuck's not. No, I know, Axis. I agree. I hope the fuck not. But bro, is he gonna talk about gas? Is he gonna talk about like what the fuck is he gonna talk about? What's the national average for gas today, folks? Because it was 4.32 yesterday. So did it go up another 7 or 8 cents? Is it 4.40 today? I'm sure it went up. It's going up on a daily basis. It's going up on a daily basis. I mean, they got the weather news with this damn bomb cyclone. Are you kidding me? Are you serious? I didn't even know that shit. Let's take a look at something. I'm curious to find something out. National gas average. 4.32 a gallon. Yep, the national. You see, folks. Boom! I told you the nationwide average for, or no, it's 4.32 a gallon. That was yesterday. Let's see today. That was yesterday. It was 4.32. 4.33. It's 4.33. It didn't go up again, but folks, hell the fuck no, man. It's lowest in the it's lowest in the Midwest, like Minnesota, Arkansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, Texas. Those are where it's the lowest right now. A few different places in the middle of the country, and then it kind of like obviously is expensive, and everywhere else, Montana, it's decent. But no, everywhere where it's decent is North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, like I said, Colorado, Iowa. I'm sure some parts of Colorado are expensive, but the West Coast is obviously getting hit very, very hard. And then the East Coast, depending on where you're at, obviously it's going to be expensive as well. In the Northeast and the Southeast, Florida has the second to highest gas prices in the East Coast or on the East Coast. 409 there. 11 o'clock appointment for interview of dream job. Please, world, hold it together until I get the job. Absolutely, Milton, man. Good luck with that, bro. Hope that goes well for you, man. Congratulations. Hope that goes well. Hope you have some good news later on. 4:30 in Michigan. Ya tu sabes. Fuck, bro. Damn, several inches of snow and expensive gas. That sucks, bro. That is fucking crazy. Bro, how many farts is this old man fucking... The fuck is this dude doing, bro? Let me show you guys a little video I made. I'll show you a little video I made. I uploaded it a second ago. You guys can check it out, but I uploaded it a second ago. Let me take a look here. Let me take a look. This bitch sounds the same.
Time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day. Every day it is time for us to agree that there are things and tools that are available to us to slow this thing down. I want to be very clear. The United States and Poland are united in what we have done and are prepared to do to help Ukraine and the people of Ukraine. Full stop.
So that was a quick one, folks. That was a quick one there. I made that video yesterday because I could have sworn she sounded exactly alike when she was talking to fucking the Today Show and when she was talking in Poland. She sounds like a fucking... She sounds exactly the same. She's constantly making shit up. She's constantly talking with no substance. Like she's a professional at that shit and sucking dick. Here we go, folks. Here we go. Here we go.
Good morning. Sorry to keep you waiting. I've just spoken for some time with President Zelensky of Ukraine. I told him, as I have each and every time we've spoken, the United States stands with the people of Ukraine and they bravely fight to defend their country. And they are doing that.
Bro, you just woke up, bro?
And as Putin continues his merciless assault, the United States and our allies and partners continue to work in lockstep to ramp up the economic pressures on Putin and to further isolate Russia on the global stage. Later today, together with other NATO allies in the G7, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the United Kingdom, as well as the European Union, we're going to jointly announce several new steps to squeeze Putin and hold him even more accountable for his aggression against Ukraine. And I want to speak to a few of those points today. First, each of our nations is going to take steps to deny most favored nation status to Russia. A most favored nation status designation means two countries have agreed to trade with each other under the best possible terms: low tariffs, few barriers of trade, and the highest possible imports allowed. In the United States, we call this permanent normal trade relations, PNTR, but it's the same thing. Revoking PNTR for Russia is going to make it harder for Russia to do business with the United States, and doing it in unison with other nations to make up half of the global economy will be another crushing blow to the Russian economy. It's already suffering very badly from our sanctions. And I want to thank Speaker Pelosi, Leader McCarthy, Leaders Schumer and McConnell, and Senators Wyden and Crapo, Representatives Neal and Brady for their bipartisan leadership on this in the Congress. I would like to offer a special thanks to Speaker Pelosi, who's been a strong advocate for revoking PNTR and who agreed to hold off on that in the House until I could line up all of our key allies to keep us in complete unison. Unity among our allies is critically important, as you all know, from my perspective at least. Many issues divide us in Washington, but standing for democracy in Ukraine, pushing Russia's aggression, should not be one of those issues. The free world is coming together to confront Putin. Our two parties here at home are leading the way. And with that bipartisan cooperation, I'm looking forward to signing into law the bill revoking PNTR, which is, again, most people think of it as most favored nation status. We're also taking a further step of banning imports of goods from several signature sectors of the Russian economy, including seafoods, vodka, and diamonds. And we're going to continue to squeeze Putin. The G7 will seek to deny Russia the ability to borrow from leading multinational institutions, such as the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. Putin is an aggressor. He is the aggressor, and Putin must pay the price. He cannot pursue a war that threatens the very foundations, which he's doing, the very foundations of international peace and stability, and then ask for financial help from the international community. The G7 is also stepping up pressure on corrupt Russian billionaires. We're adding new names to the list of oligarchs and their families that we're targeting. And we're increasing coordination among the G7 countries to target and capture their ill-begotten gains. They support Putin. They steal from the Russian people, and they seek to hide their money in our countries. They're part of that kleptocracy that exists in Moscow, and they must share in the pain of these sanctions. And while we're going after these, their super yachts and their vacation homes and worth hundreds of millions of dollars, we're also going to make it harder for them to buy high-end products manufactured in our country. We're banning the export of luxury goods to Russia. They're also the latest steps we're taking, but they're not the last steps we're going to take. And as I said, at the beginning of all these steps, we're going to hit Putin harder because the United States and our closest allies and partners are acting in unison. The totality of our sanctions and export controls is crushing the Russian economy. The ruble has lost more than half its value. They tell me it takes about 200 rubles to equal $1 these days. Moscow Stock Exchange has been closed for 2 weeks because they know the moment it opens, it will probably collapse. Credit rating agencies has downgraded Russia's government to junk status, its economy to junk status. The list of businesses, international corporations leaving Russia is growing by the day. We're also continuing to close corporations with allies and partners to make sure that the close cooperation we continue to have, the Ukrainian people are able to defend their own nation. The United States has sent more than $1 billion in security assistance to Ukraine over the last year, including anti-armor and anti-air capabilities, taking out tanks and planes and helicopters, with new shipments arriving every day. We, the United States, are also facilitating significant shipments of security assistance from our allies and partners to Ukraine. And the humanitarian front, we're working closely with the UN and humanitarian organizations to support the people of Ukraine who have been displaced by the violence in Ukraine. We're providing tens of thousands of tons of human supplies, humanitarian supplies, food, water, medicines, coming via truck and train every single day. Yesterday in Poland, Vice President Harris announced an additional $53 million in additional humanitarian support to Ukraine. That brings the total humanitarian assistance to $107 million in just 2 weeks. We've joined this effort with more than 30 other countries who are providing hundreds of millions more. And last night, to their great credit, the Congress passed a bipartisan spending bill that included an additional $13.6 billion in new assistance to the Ukrainian people. And I look forward to signing that immediately. I also want to be clear, though. We will make sure Ukraine has weapons to defend against an invading Russian force. We will send money and food and aid to save the Ukrainian.
You're going to send money to the neo-Nazis there?
Welcome Ukrainian refugees. We should welcome them here with open arms.
Take some questions.
Access. And we're going to provide more support for Ukraine. We're going to continue to stand together with our allies in Europe and send unmistakable message. We'll defend every single inch of NATO territory with the full might of the united and galvanized NATO. We will not fight a war against Russia in Ukraine. Direct confrontation between NATO and Russia is World War III, something we must strive to prevent. But we already know Putin's war against Ukraine will never be a victory. He hoped to dominate Ukraine without a fight. He failed. He hoped to fracture European resolve. He failed. He hoped to weaken the transatlantic alliance. He failed. He hoped to split apart American democracies in terms of our positions. He failed. The American people are united. The world is united. And we stand with the people of Ukraine. We will not let autocrats and would-be emperors dictate the direction of the world. Democracies are rising to meet this moment, rallying the world to the side of peace and the side of security. We're showing our strength, and we will not falter. God bless all of you. God bless Ukraine, and God bless our troops.
Take questions, bro. Okay, there.
That Russia may use chemical weapons or create a false flag operation to use them. What evidence have you seen showing that? And would the U.S. have a military response if Putin does launch a chemical weapons attack?
I'm not going to speak about the intelligence, but Russia would pay a severe price if they use chemical weapons.
Yeah, he just one question and then he leaves. You know what? The chemical weapons are there because of fucking Ukraine, bro. Get the fuck out of here, man. Russia's going to use chemical weapons now after we already know, because it was already discussed that there's a bio research lab there in Ukraine. This is fucking insane, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for watching. Just wanted to do a quick stream. I'll catch you later on, probably for Outnumbered at 12 o'clock. So stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. You already know what it is. It's Crippy Rob, the political pothead, aka Cannabis Convict. If not, I will be live for the 5 for show. Peace.